Hello and welcome to Decoding. In this video, we will be reviewing something rather different. It's a gaming phone from Lenovo called Legion Duel 2, and it's an absolute beast. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. I've been an iPhone user since forever, but I have to say this phone has got me thinking. You can tell just by looking at it that a lot of thought process went into designing something like this. Designers weren't just trying to design the lightest and thinnest phone out there, but instead they focus on what matters to gamers. Performance, functionality, and even some RGB lighting. It's fairly hefty at 259 grams, and it's almost 10 mm thin. Or rather thick in this case. You can get this phone in two colors, titanium white and ultimate black. And this one is obviously the ultimate black, and it is an absolute fingerprint magnet as you can see here. It is also very slippery and there are no grippy materials used. Shame. This phone was designed from ground up to be used in the landscape mode. I mean, look, even way cameras are positioned, especially the front camera, but we'll get to that later. Then charging ports. Yes, this phone has two charging ports, trigger buttons, and dual speakers. All this encourages you to use this phone mainly in the landscape mode. Duel 2 feels very well built and durable. Let's just not talk about the infamous video from Zach where he broke it in half. Anyways, let's now look at some rather impressive specs. Even considering that this phone was released back in May 2021. Okay, so we have a Snapdragon 885G and Adreno 660 GPU paired with 16 gigs of LPDDR RAM and 512 gigs of storage. For panel, there is a 6.92 inches FHD AMOLED with 144 Hz refresh rate, and I have to say this panel is frankly stunning. It has a massive 5500 mAh battery, but more on how this phone handles charging later. This phone has active cooling utilizing two tiny fans, and of course RGB isn't missing. This phone has two USB-C ports and it can fully charge in just 30 minutes, which is crazy. Meaning that if you're about to head out and you are planning to game away from your home, you can just plug it on charger and it will be good to go in no time. Very impressive in my opinion. Unfortunately, because of the camera location, this phone doesn't support wireless charging. Also, next thing that's missing from this phone is SD card slot, which is odd not to have on a gaming phone. And same goes for headphone jack. Side port is especially handy if you want to charge while streaming or gaming. You have heard me right. I said streaming because this phone has a mechanical pop-up camera. Not to make bezel slimmer or hide notch, but actually to make streaming on the go possible. This camera has 44 megapixels and 84 degrees wide angle, which is in my view as good as you can get for streaming on the go while no extra attachments needed. Now, because of this unusual position, it is extremely awkward to use this camera for selfies. This camera can also record 4K video at up to 60 frames per second. On the rear, we have the more conventional dual camera setup. 64 megapixels wide sensor and 16 megapixel ultra wide. This is where things are starting to fall apart a bit. First, because of the unusual camera placement, they will be almost always covered by your hand and therefore all smudged up. Secondly, well, quality is pretty disappointing. Here you can see some side-by-side shots with iPhone 14 Pro Max. But luckily, this phone isn't about cameras. Where this phone shines is of course gaming. We have super smooth 144 Hz panel, check. Super fast CPU and GPU, check. And we have some impressive cooling solution, check. Legion Duel 2 also comes with app called, well, Legion Realm, where you can find games based on features, for example games which can make full use of that 144 Hz panel or controller optimized games and so on. I have to say that Legion done a pretty good job with haptic motor in this phone. It feels very high quality and punchy. Now, because Lenovo owns Motorola, this phone is technically a Motorola and a lot of parts are being leveraged what they have already learned there, which is a good thing. First, I tried some cloud gaming with Xbox And it is an experience no different from any other device which supports cloud gaming, since it isn't dependable on hardware but rather on speed and quality of internet connection. You will also need a dedicated controller, since console games don't support touch input. Therefore, I don't really care about cloud gaming in this case. What I was more interested in is how Duel 2 would handle intensive mobile gaming on highest settings. This is where the fun begins, and fans at the rear will actually kick on. Have a listen. My favorite feature is that while in game, you can drag down from the top to see things like Wi-Fi strength and latency, current FPS, CPU and GPU speeds. You can even quickly turn on Rampage mode, which is actually just a full performance mode, still pretty neat. All this is cool, but what about actual performance? I have to say this phone can handle just about anything you will throw at it. I was very impressed. Now, something to note is that this phone can get really hot while gaming, so something to keep in mind during longer gaming sessions. What would be nice to see is a built-in kickstand similar to what Nintendo Switch has, to enable gaming with a controller on the go or while being at the desk. I have to say the two side speakers are really good. They sound excellent. I wasn't expecting that really. Obviously, if you'll be gaming, you'll be probably mostly using headphones, but if you don't have headphones or if you don't like to use headphones, still you will be in treat for immersive experience. It is super obvious that this phone isn't for a mainstream consumer, but the fact that engineers from Lenovo really went that extra mile to create something special and dedicated for gaming is impressive. Most importantly, this phone is unlike anything on the market, maybe with the exception of ROG phone, which is only true competitor to Duel 2. However, fact is that many flagships now support 120 and 144 Hz refresh rate, and they are very good at gaming. Yes, they don't have dedicated shoulder buttons, and because of passing cooling, they will start throttling soon and screen might get dimmer, meaning they're great for casual gaming. But if you are serious about gaming and if you care about streaming on Twitch or other platforms on the go, this phone is for you. It has a great passive cooling, it has an excellent, beautiful and smooth panel, decent speakers, design is okay, the fingerprint magnet, I would put a case on it with a little bit of grip, but other than that, it is a really nice phone. I really hope Lenovo will go on and announce Legion Duel 3 sometime soon. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.